There's nothing more frustrating than running towards your goals at full speed, only for life to keep tripping you up. In this week's Hot Seat episode, Ricardo is from an island in Italy where dreaming big isn't the norm and being a personal trainer isn't as respected as it should be. He can see the path forward and is getting small tastes of success, but it's not happening as fast as he'd like. Life keeps creating road bumps and slowing him down. Jonathan shares with Ricardo his philosophy on whether work life balance really exists and how to approach competing priorities so nothing falls behind. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Sweet. So, Ricardo, why don't you start us off, man? Talk to us about kind of what led to that comment.
I introduce myself for who doesn't know me. My name is Ricardo. I have a master's degree in kinesiology, and I've been doing this job for a couple of years while I've tried to be an athlete for my whole life, and my path was always full of injuries. So that's why I started studying this stuff, because I was sick of going to the doctor, not having any answers, or not being in a path to rehabilitate myself. So I started studying, and that's where it took me. And now I'm trying to help people to live freely, do sports, do activities they like, live in a body they're comfortable with, to do what they like. So it's not just about the muscles, it's about what your body can make you do. And I come from a place where I'm from Italy, and I live in an island, so it's very easy to get lost in people that don't think big. Okay, so I grew up without any kind of ambition, and even when studying, I was stuck in a mindset that like I would have gotten a 9-to-5 job. And in Italy, if you study like sports science and stuff like that, the 9-to-5 job is teaching in school, and it's not a well-paid job. So in a university, I was growing up thinking that, okay, I'm working my ass off to do a job that is not well seen by society, a job that it's very hard to be appreciated if you do, because people think you're just like muscle with no brain.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it. Then like last year, I invested in a mentorship, not this one. And finally, it's like I brought my own ambition back, and I've started to see that the world is also full of opportunities, and that my job can make me help a lot of people. And this is something that it's very important for me, also not because of the job, but because like helping other people, especially if they are going through something that I've been through. And then I came to you, John, and you resonate with me a lot more than my old mentor. So I wanted to start this program, and so I did in January, and it's going good. I'm very satisfied, but it's like I see the path in front of me. I see what I can achieve, even with imperfect action, but it's like I'm too slow to reach the things that I want to, because like life gets in between things that I should be doing to achieve what I want faster and in a better way, I can say. So it's not like I'm not growing, but it's, I don't know, that's something that feels off. It's like I cannot fly high enough, or it's just that I run a little bit, then I have to stop, and I run a little bit, and I would like to like a couple of months when I'm just like unlocking myself and going where I want to go.
Can I tell you why this is so cool for me?
Yeah, of course.
What you're talking about, and I have not put all my thoughts together in how I'm going to communicate this that well yet, but what you're talking about, the exact problem that you're hitting on, is a effectively the theme of my next book that I just pitched to my agent. And so a lot of it has to do with this idea of getting bogged down by a lot of things. And actually, the analogy that you just gave is one that I have never really thought about, but I think is really good, is I run really fast and then I have to stop, and then I run really fast. To me, that's a matter of not finding the right pace to run. But also, I think that it has a lot to do with figuring out actually that perhaps, and this is a lot of what the book is going to be about, perhaps the best way to operate is to figure out a way where you can run really, really fast for a short period of time, encapsulated, and then be okay maybe not running so fast or feeding another part of you or feeding another part of your life. And for me, it's there's three competing priorities in life. There's this is for me, right? There's health and fitness, there's family and community, and then there's business. And I look at those three as a triangle. You need all three. You can't let any of them go, because the minute that you let any of them completely go, the triangle collapses. But as long as they're all there, it's the most stable structure in the world. And then over time, what I've also figured out is that you actually, I cannot put a lot of effort into more than one of them at any given time. And so what I've learned to do is ahead of time proactively say, this is a period of my year, let's say, where I'm really focusing on improving in this area. I'm really, really focused on pushing forward in the business, like pushing. And everything else is going to be done fine, good enough so that, that arm of the triangle doesn't collapse. But I don't feel the guilt about not pushing on it. Because that's the biggest problem for me. I have the most incredible family time. Last couple of weeks have been the most incredible family time, and I'm so grateful, and it's been so special. And for the first time ever, I don't feel guilty about not putting as much into the business during that time because of this structure. Because what used to happen was that I'd be really all in with the family and I'd feel guilty about not putting as much into the business. And then I'd put a lot more into the business and then I'd feel guilty about not putting as much into the family. And I have yet to figure out a way to do it all at once in a way that satisfies me. And so I bring this up to you, and what you brought up to me is this idea of, I do think it's impossible to do it all. I do think that it's easier and easier and not going to get and it's going to get easier over time. It's not going to it's easier to get bogged down by things, by all these things that other people are doing that you feel like you should be doing, that your crazy aunt says that your cousin Jessica is having all the success doing, so maybe you should try it out. Whatever. Well-intentioned friend. Everybody is a crazy aunt. I've got one or two of them. And I don't think that that's going to go away. I think that it's really up to us to figure out how to manage that, because getting bogged down by all these small things stops you from doing the one big thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so I call it the 8-4 rule. One of the things you talked about on the island that you're on. What's the island called that you grew up on?
Sardinia. It's
Oh,
in
you
the
grew up
middle
on,
of the Caribbean Sea.
cool. You grew up on Sardinia. Must be nice. I gotta check that place out one of these days. I'll come visit. I'll come visit for a food tour.
I'll show you around.
That'd be great. But I've experienced island living a fair bit, but I experience where I am right now in Sayulita, Mexico, which is sort of like a beachside surf town. And I experience living in places like this for about 4 months of the year, every single year. And the book, the title of the book right now is The 8-4 Rule. Because this is my 12th winter abroad in a row. So I've spent 3 to 5 months out of Canada every year for the last 12 years. And it started, of course, with escaping the winter. But like fitness, you might start because you think that girls want, abs or arms or whatever it is. But like anybody who stays in the gym for long enough knows that it's much deeper than that. Like that is not enough to keep you doing a thing. That's not enough to keep you working out. And a couple years ago, I started to really think about what posed me to live this lifestyle again. And I realized just how much deeper it goes than just chasing sun or activity. And one of the major things is that Toronto is very much a hustle culture. It's get ahead. It's huge amounts of social responsibilities, professional responsibilities. I mean, my professional community is Toronto. I can go to a dinner 3, 4 nights a week. Family, social responsibilities. There's always stuff going on. Everybody's trying to get ahead. It's a very expensive city to live in as well. It's just hustle, 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 hustle. I love that energy until I don't. And then I got to get the hell out. And here in Sayulita, it is the exact opposite, man. It's the exact opposite. It's a lot of what you kind of described in Sardinia, where the people here largely are here because they don't want to hustle. They've kind of opted out of that. And I love living here because I love feeding that other side of me for 4 months. And this process of checking in and checking out and checking in and checking out of those two ways of living makes me excited to enter in again. Like I'm about to go back to Toronto in a few weeks. I can't wait to hit it hard again. But then after 7 or 8 months, I'm going to be excited again. And so that's how I avoid this kind of, call it burnout, call it bore out, where I get away from the monotony of the mundanity of the day to day. And I continue to be excited about where I'm going. And so you don't need to travel necessarily to do this, but I do think that it makes sense to split your year up into pockets. And in doing that, there's no guilt of feeling like you should be doing something else. You can say, here's the big thing that I'm trying to push forward on right now. Maybe that means that you leave Sardinia for a couple months at a time, maybe not. I wonder whether you're entering in a period where it needs to be perhaps a little bit unhealthy in terms like the idea of balance. I challenge that a lot. I think everybody has a different definition of it. I have yet to figure out how to be really balanced, and do it all at once. I figured out how to do one thing and then, back. And early on in my career, I was not balanced. And that's a pretty common story from people that I speak to that have been able to, I guess, get out of like the path that was destined for them. The path that was destined for me was very much a more professional path. Basically, every single one of my friends is a lawyer, doctor, dentist, teacher, accountant, or something very similar. Like professional, go to university, get a postgrad, do your job, take your salary. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it was never for me. And so I had to, at one point, I mean, when I was building up the stuff online, dude, there's no girlfriends, there was no social life. I wish I could say that I was better to my family. I mean, I didn't have kids or anything at that point, but I wish I could say that I saw my parents more or my siblings more stuff. But to be honest, I didn't. I was working in the gym 6 days in the week, and then I was working on my website from 9:30 at night until 2 in the morning. And I don't think that you need to do that type of thing for a long period of time. But that's just an example of, for a contained period, in order to almost reach that next level of whatever you're trying to achieve. And it's the same, I think, too, when things are good, in terms of relationships, in terms of family relationships, like the best time to work on a relationship is when the relationship is good, not after the relationship has gotten to be bad. And having these periods and knowing that you're in one of those periods allows you to give permission to yourself, but also allows you to almost describe it to somebody else. Just be like, yo, mom and dad, for the next month, I'll let you know I'm alive. Same thing. Whatever it is. And in doing that, part of that is, what are you really trying to build? Like, I'm really trying to get clients in this next month. Okay. Well, you're not working on putting up your social media. Like, you're going out and one-on-one pounding the pavement and having conversations with people. Because that's your immediate need. You might give another period and say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm going to really master Instagram. Knowing that that period of next 3 months of mastering Instagram is not going to bring you immediate business rewards. But it might lead to something in the future that's going to better position you in the future. Which goes into the conversation that we'll have with Miles, who I can see got here. What's up, man? Where social media is not a way to get short-term rewards. Social media is a savings account. You invest into it with excess time and capital, and you hope that it kicks off interest, but you don't depend on it. And you hope that you wake up one day and it'll have grown into something meaningful that'll feed you. So again, it's not that any of these things are necessarily right or wrong, but I think that there's a time and place for them, for having these distinct periods of, call it like aggressive singular focused periods. I don't know, it's probably a better way to say that.
Amber again, thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 127, The Leapfrog Effect for Better Focus. We've all been told or have told ourselves that we need to focus more. You've probably tried every trick in the book, but it never seems to stick. In this episode, you'll learn how to overcome your homeostatic set point, pick up new skills faster, and how to navigate the insane amount of information that's being thrown at you by using the leapfrog effect. Again, that's episode 127, The Leapfrog Effect for Better Focus. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.